Ladies and gentlemen, the hairiest and cuddliest comic book movie analyst on the web today, Jonathan May. This is Comic Book Cinema, where we bring you the best comic book movie content.
What's up, comic book movie fans? My name is Jonathan. This is Comic Book Cinema. Thank you for stopping by. Today we're going to discuss whether or not Marvel and the MCU are doomed. So in the past on this channel, we have discussed ad nauseum about how Phase 4 has been a less than stellar phase, to put it lightly. In fact, some of their loyal fans that have called the MCU their home and their special place for so many years are starting to leave the MCU. More often than not, I talk to people these days about how they just simply don't watch MCU movies anymore. They don't really care. Or they feel overwhelmed at the sheer amount of content that we've gotten, both through the films now, which we've gotten lots more films than we normally got. And on top of all that, we have the Disney Plus shows that you have to follow and keep up with now to be fully in the loop. It's a lot to keep up with. And Disney's returning CEO, Bob Iger, had this to say. These comments really worry me. I'm glad that they're finally making the decision to scale back with the mass amount of content that we're getting. I think that's a good thing because Kevin Feige will be able to be more involved in these projects than he has been as of late. But what's concerning here the most is the fact that Bob Iger, at least on the surface or from this quote, seems to think that Marvel as a brand is what's most important, that some of these early characters do not matter. From this statement, what I see as a fan who has loved some of the OG characters since I was a kid, the Hulk doesn't matter. Iron Man doesn't matter. Matter of fact, we just killed him a few movies ago, and everything's doing hunky-dory right now, which is technically true, but you can't just abandon these characters that everyone knows and loves and eventually just move completely away from them. What kind of comes to mind here when I think of this is the new Avengers. And when I talk to some of my OG comic reader friends, they have absolutely zero interest in the new Avengers. And I'm in the same boat. I thought that Kate Bishop was a fun character overall. She started off a little annoying, but the more and more time went on in the Hawkeye series, I began to like the character. The same with Yelena Belova. This is yet another derivative character that Marvel is taking basically and saying, oh, you liked Black Widow? Well, this is the new Black Widow. You liked Hawkeye? Well, hey, we have a female version of Hawkeye for you all now. They're taking these derivative characters that derive from the characters that we all actually like, with the exception of Hawkeye. I'm not really a big Hawkeye fan, or Black Widow for that matter. But we just got introduced to the Hulk's son. His haircut looked jacked up. I don't know what they were thinking there creatively. The foundations are starting to be laid for this new Avengers group. And when I see these comments from Bob Iger, I just think, wow. You cannot completely abandon what got you here in the first place. And it's not always about bringing in the new and out with the old either. If you continue to tell us good stories, we will show up in droves. That's the problem here, and I think that he's kind of drawing comparisons from Thor 4 because simply us as fans are tired of seeing the character of Thor, which is not the case. The film actually did pretty well at the box office. But I can promise you one thing, if you try to make a Thor 5 now that we've gotten Thor 4, Love and Thunder, audiences will definitely not show up for that sequel. Simply because the fourth movie was not very well liked. I feel like I'm a little biased when it comes to comic book movies and the character of Thor. I love Thor. I didn't hate the film personally, but I know that a lot of people just thought it was too silly. I was talking with my parents about that not too long ago. Obviously, they're not hardcore MCU fans, but they like the sillier MCU films, and even for them, this Thor Love and Thunder film was too goofy. And a lot of people felt like Thor was just turned into a joke here. That's the popular opinion. Like I said, I have the unpopular opinion. I thought the film was fine. But it's not that audiences are tired of seeing Thor. That's where I think that Bob Iger here is missing the point. It's not that we as an audience are tired of seeing Thor. It's just that this film was poorly written Maybe there wasn't enough guidance behind the scenes from Kevin Feige. And since Taika Waititi was starting to develop more and more of a great reputation as a director, Kevin Feige pulled those reins back a little bit. And we got to see here what happens when Kevin Feige is not as involved as he has been in the past. Kevin Feige's been around the block. He was working on Marvel films back in the days of the first X-Men movie, the first few Spider-Man films. He has experience in Hollywood like no one else when it comes to superhero films. So I think that his heavy involvement in a lot of these films, especially when you look at phase 1, 2, and 3, really makes all the difference. You cannot completely abandon the characters that got you here in the first place. And just because we've gotten 3 films with one character does not mean that we're tired of that character. Look at television shows, for instance. We have 18 plus episodes coming to Disney Plus soon of Daredevil, the Born Again, the new series for Disney Plus. That's basically 18 short movies. And then you look at the past 3 seasons that we got of Daredevil on Netflix. As long as you're giving us good stories with these characters, we're not going to get tired of the characters. It's not the characters. It's the writing. It's the complacency. And honestly, I think that this kind of all stems from the sheer amount of quantity that we've gotten as of late. Marvel needs to scale things back a lot. Get Kevin Feige more heavily involved in these projects like he was before. Less Disney Plus shows of characters that no one really cares about. I'm talking to you, Ironheart and Echo. Focus on bringing us those fan favorite characters that we all know and love back to the big screen the right way. The Fantastic Four, the X-Men, these are films that we have been dying as fans to get for a long time. Put a lot of effort and attention into these films. Give us a great rebooted Blade film. Because I can promise you, no one really cares about the Eternals 2. That's all for this episode of Comic Book Cinema. Thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/comicbookcinema. You can always find us on the other socials, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Check us out at Real Comic Book Cinema. And we're also in the podcasting realm. Make sure you give us a look there as well. Until next time, have a good one.